Let's make a connection, not you and me, but with wires and wire connectors. There's 3 basic types, and I'm going to show you how to use each of them properly and how, more importantly, not to screw them up right now. These are called wire nuts. This is probably the most common type of wire connector you'll see. They're often called by their brand name. Here in Canada, you might hear Marettes, or they're also just called twist-on connectors. They're very basic, and because of that, they're great. They're simple to use, they're difficult to screw up, but there are a few key points that you should know when using this kind of connection.
Inside the wire nut is a metal spring that grabs the wires and pulls them tightly together as you turn it. After you strip back the insulation to expose the copper wire underneath, the wires get lined up evenly before the wire nut gets twisted on top. If you do this properly, the result should be a tight, secure electrical connection. Now, some electricians will advise to pre-twist the copper together before adding the wire nut. Just make sure that if you do this, you clip off the ends before inserting the wire nut. Manufacturer instructions will vary, and electricians will argue about this forever. But either way, the goal is the same, to help maintain solid electrical contact over time.
Another common problem that people run into when they're using wire nuts is they use the wrong size. So if I select a wire nut that's too small and there's copper exposed after I make my connection, that's a problem. You want to make sure that there is no metal, there's no copper showing below the skirt of the wire nut when it's fully connected. Otherwise, that's a fire waiting to happen at your house, and you'll be to blame. So use the right size wire nut. Or cut off some of this, and then it will fit. Use your brain. So that's wire nuts. But there's another way to make a connection, and it's called a push-in connector, and they look like this. So to make these push-in connections is very simple and pretty straightforward. You simply take the wires you're connecting and then push them one by one into a designated terminal. You just want to make sure that they go in all the way.
The first step for these is to strip the insulation off the wire to the correct length. Most connectors even have a strip gauge printed right on the side so you know exactly how much copper should be exposed. Then, instead of twisting on a wire nut, you simply push the wire straight into the connector. Inside are metal spring clamps that grab the copper and hold it tightly in place while still allowing electricity to pass through safely. The only downside is they're not great for stranded wires, and some of them are single use.
So that's a push-in connector. But there's another type of connector that's similar to a push-in connector, only it's reusable, and it's also suitable for different wire types. There's solid wire, which is this stuff. It's just one wire that's normally insulated in a sheathing. But there's also another kind called stranded wire. If you look closely, it's actually lots of little copper wires that are spooled, spiraled, twisted, bound, wrapped up in a nice sheathing. They look similar from the outside, but when you're making a connection, what's inside makes a big difference. For stranded wire like this, a great connector is what's known as a lever connector, or sometimes they're called WAGO connectors. That's the brand. And they look like this. So these lever connectors, or WAGO connectors, are great for simplicity. They're also great because they can be reused. But there are a few things you have to be careful of. The strip length of your wire is very important. Not only can you not overstrip and have copper exposed, but you can understrip and have the connection be interrupted by the sleeve of the wire. So you have to check on the back and make sure that the strip length is correct, and also make sure that the levers are fully closed on each one. They also get kind of clunky as you get into more wire connections. So once you get past a few separate wires connecting, these things can get bulky. But as you can see, very viable option, and we like these because they're easy.
But how do lever connectors actually work? First, you lift the lever, insert the wire, and then push the lever back down. Inside the connector is a metal clamp that presses tightly against the copper wire, which maintains the connection and holds it safely in place. And unlike some other wire connectors, these are reusable, so if you need to remove or change a wire later, you just flip back the lever and pull the wire out. They're fast, they're easy to use, and easy to inspect, and especially useful in tight electrical boxes. Just make sure that you fully close the levers and match the strip length exactly. Understripping wires can be as dangerous as overstripping them.
Well, there you go. 3 common types of connectors. But just remember that even a connection that looks good can still fail. So whether using a wire nut, a push-in connector, or a lever connector, knowing how they work is more important than making sure that they look good. Safety first, people. Here's a cool tip as well when you're stripping your wires. This is a little bonus tip. When you're stripping your wires, make sure that you're using the right hole. So find the right size gauge for your wire. And then all you do is when you cut it, a simple this and a pull. That's all you need to do. What you don't want to do, that we see lots of people doing, is this. When I clip it, what you see a lot of the time is a twist and then this. That rocking motion, it mars the wire. So see those little slices? Those little nicks in the wire are actually going to make it more likely to break off at that point. So we're going to avoid damaging the wire by not doing this when you're stripping it. That's a tip from me to you. Take it if you want. That's all for now.